All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm here today joined by Gray Schiffman, and we're here with the rest of our leadership team, including Ernie Plaza, Angelica Plaza, and Angie Jensen, and today's special guest, who is also part of our leadership team, Ileana Kim. Ileana, how are you today?
Hi, doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. Ileana is a very good agent, a powerhouse, if you will, from Austin, Texas, and she's taking the time out of her day to teach us about how to get a repeat business. So, Ileana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I think Peter, there's a glare of sorts. Sorry. I don't know where that glare is coming from, so I do apologize, but oh, that's where it was coming from. Thank you. Okay. Make sure I'm unmuted. Alrighty. So, as Stephen said, my name is Ileana Tavares Kim. I am a second generation agent. I'm licensed in Texas and Minnesota. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I'm the co-founder of Kimpact Realty Group with alongside my husband. I'm fluent in Spanish and English. Spanish is my first language. I previously served as the president of KWYP Austin. That was super fun. And I'm currently serving as the marketing and events chair for Real YP as well. My previous background before real estate is in quality assurance and compliance, which might actually make sense once I go through this presentation. And then my husband, who is the other half of Kimpact Realty Group, is Korean. So he speaks fluent Korean and Kanglish, really, or English and Kanglish. He says his Korean isn't that great, but it is.
Spanglish and Kanglish.
In English,
Okay.
yeah. That's what I tell them. I'm like, you speak fluent Kanglish. I speak fluent Spanglish. It's fine.
I've never heard of that. It's pretty cool.
I know, that's pretty cool.
So today we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but really what I want to do is put everything into perspective. I don't want to just talk and tell you do this, do that. I want to explain my reason behind it. So what I'd like for you to do is to think about the last restaurant you couldn't stop talking about. Not just one with good food. I'm talking about one where the overall experience was so good, you couldn't help but to tell other people about it. Why did you like why that one? What about that was it that made it a special experience? Was it just the food? Probably not. Maybe they remembered your name though, or they anticipated what you needed before you even had to ask. Or maybe they made a mistake, but they handled it in a way that earned your trust or your respect. Whatever it was, it made you feel something special, right? So for the past decade, and that's just an example, this happens with so many things. So for the past decade, I've been fascinated by one question, and that's what makes someone genuinely want to recommend a business or service to someone that they care about. Because y'all, if we understand that, then we can intentionally create those kinds of experiences for our own clients. So another thing that I discovered is that most agents don't have a lead problem, they have a client experience problem. And today, my goal is for you to leave here asking yourself, would my clients describe me as, or working with me as unforgettable? And whether the answer is yes or no, I hope you get at least one thing from this conversation that can help you elevate the experience. So, today I want to share what I've discovered that completely changed the way that we do business. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so what I discovered is that referrals don't happen by accident or by luck. They're the natural result of a series of intentional experiences, intentional being the key word. A great experience creates trust. Trust creates advocacy. Advocacy naturally leads to referrals, and referrals often become repeat business. When I realized this, that's when I realized that referrals weren't something that I needed to chase. They were the result of everything that came before them. So referrals aren't the outcome, or the outcome, excuse me. They're not the goal. Your work should speak for itself, essentially. So if referrals aren't the story, the beginning of the story, then where does it begin, right? Think back to that restaurant. You probably don't remember exactly what you ordered, but I bet you remembered or remember how they made you feel. My clients rarely call me years later and say, "Remember that inspection report?" I mean, it might come up for a quick conversation and a quick laugh, but typically they remember something completely different. They remembered that I answered my phone, which it shocks me that that's a big deal, but it is. That makes you a minority in this business, apparently. So they remember that you answered the phone. They remember feeling calm and supported. They remember someone being in their corner. Because, people don't refer transactions. They don't really necessarily remember the transaction itself. They remember the experience. So what they refer is the experience. And people, psychologically speaking, repeat what they remember. So you may have heard the saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And I'm here to confirm this to be true. I don't know about you, but I always ask people I trust for referrals before I hit up Google or Yelp because I trust them more than I do Google or Yelp. So if that's true, what kinds of experiences should we be intentionally creating? Contrary to popular belief, I don't think systems come first. I think beliefs come first. I believe people deserve clarity, so I create proactive updates. I believe people deserve to feel seen, so I track birthdays. I believe care shouldn't end at closing, so I stay in touch by providing value. Basically, my systems are simply my values repeated. So, in other words, a system is a belief in action. And that got me thinking in these past 10 years or so, maybe even longer, if every system comes from a belief, could every system that we've created fit into just a few categories? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The care method. Because, yes, you guys, I realize that every system we have built falls into one of these four buckets: creating clarity to remove uncertainty, anticipating their needs to solve tomorrow's problems or questions today, reinforce trust, make people feel supported, feel seen, feel heard, and extending relationships. So continuing to care after closing, connecting them with your resources, things like that. So we call this the clear method for simplicity. I had to think really hard on how to kind of frame it in order to just break it up into something more palatable. So whether it's before closing, during the transaction, or years later, everything fits here within these four. Let's start with the first one, creating clarity. Okay, also creating clarity removes uncertainty before it even starts. Most clients aren't going to wake up because they're already a client, right? So they're not going to wake up thinking, am I actually going to buy this house? But they probably do wake up wondering, am I missing something? Is everything okay? Should I be worried? So we do our best to remove uncertainty before it even has a chance to grow. We do this by providing weekly updates. Every Monday, we give them an update. We also provide next steps, every phone call, every conversation, email summary, so that they know what to expect next. And if there is no update to give, we still reach out, letting them know that there is no update. That's more so for their peace of mind, but also so that they're not thinking that, you forgot about them or nothing's happening on the back end. So we also created email and text plug and play templates for these particular milestones. Anything that repeats more than once, we try to create a system around that. We do our best not to assume what they know and what they don't know. So we provide a full scope of information regardless of their previous experience. Sometimes they think they know it because they've done it once, but things change, especially in this type of market. So we just give them all the information and they can take what they need and leave what they don't need. So my thought process is that every place in the process in the transaction that a client may feel uncertain gives us the opportunity to build trust. And going back to it real quick, no update is an update. I think that's something that people really miss because there's a part in the transaction where it is almost you're up in limbo. You're just waiting. Maybe the appraisal, we're waiting on the appraisal, or maybe it already took place and we're waiting on clear to close. But they don't know that. We know that. And so we just need to make sure that we are letting them know, hey, everything's still on track. We're good to go, just so you know. Um, and here are the minimum updates y'all should be providing, in my opinion. At least this is what we do. So again, no major update. Hi, Angie. Just wanted to touch base and let you know that we're still on track. There are no current updates. We'll let you know if anything comes up. Inspection, has it been scheduled? Did you receive the report back and would like to discuss? How much longer do we have left to review and negotiate if necessary? Anything that they could question, make sure that you answer it. And think back, put yourself in their shoes. Think back to when you first started. What questions would you have had? And then closing, schedule the final walkthrough, reiterate closing instructions from the title or attorney, depending on how your state operates. Um, and then answer any final questions you think they may have. So that's important because oftentimes, since they trust you more than they trust maybe the attorney or the title company, it's important that you reiterate information that they may have already provided, and including like the address and stuff like that. And funding. It's my favorite part. Make sure that you congratulate them. Don't let them feel like that's it. What's next? Let them know what's next. Is there any helpful home information from the seller you can provide? Anything else that's relevant to the transaction closing? Remember, friends, creating clarity removes uncertainty before it even starts. And clarity, you probably have heard this, but clarity is power. I genuinely believe that. And that's where a lot of this framework comes from. That leads us to our second part of our care method, which is anticipate needs. This is something that completely changed the way that we serve our clients. We essentially stopped waiting for questions and we started asking what questions are they potentially going to have next? Um, and it depends on what part of the process we're at, but let's just say that we have closed. So we send out quarterly video CMAs. Um, We have a vendor guide that we update annually or biannually, depending on where we stand. Homestead exemption, we always remind them, and we'll get more into that as well. Equity check-in is pretty much the CMA, but the key is doing a video CMA. And then just any other offering any homeowner resources. We also provide like home maintenance advice. I feel like that's something people don't do enough of. Um, and yeah, so like if basically for us, if we already know that they'll eventually ask, like, who's your plumber? How do I file for homestead? What's my home worth? Should I refinance? We don't see a reason why we'd wait for them to ask. So instead, we've built systems around that answer tomorrow's questions today. So the key
Kim,
here, oh, go ahead.
yeah, may I ask you the quarterly video CMA? Do you have an example of that you can post for us, like maybe in the group later? Because I've never heard of doing a quarterly video CMA. I think it's a fabulous idea. I think it's fabulous because it keeps you connected. People remember your face. I think it's a fabulous idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I basically say exactly what I would have said in like the email. And I might throw in a joke or two just because that's my personality. But yeah, I will absolutely post an example. Peter, can you take a note of that so I don't forget? Okay. And then yeah, that's been a game changer. Love, love, love that. And I think that to your point, it puts you in front of them again. It puts you in a position where you're able to show your personality. If it's a little bit, let's say that it's not like the best news, you can frame it in a way that just writing wouldn't be able to relay. So it really does work in your favor. And I think it's something I had to do a million of them before I got comfortable, but I just practiced. Um, yeah. So The key, though, is sometimes one of the biggest opportunities to create memorable experiences do happen after closing. But like, imagine this. Imagine you send a video CMA. This actually did happen to a previous client, and they were just talking to their spouse like yesterday about potentially upgrading. How impressed would they be by your timing? And then, of course, not only were they impressed by our timing, but then they wanted to learn more because they were actually interested. So, something to consider. Closing gift strategy. I know the slide says closing gift, but this really isn't about the gift itself. It's about the feeling that you're creating. So the gift is simply an opportunity to communicate that you didn't forget about them, that you're thinking about them, you still care, but also like thank you for trusting me. I always want people to feel my gratitude because they didn't have to choose me, they didn't have to hire me, they didn't have to trust me, but they did, and that means a lot. So what we do is at closing, we let them know that we ordered something custom for them. And then that gives us several opportunities to follow back up. So then from there, we send the tracking information. Then we make sure that it actually arrived. Then we follow up to make sure, that they liked it. So our intention is to create as many touch points as we can to extend that experience. So it doesn't end right, when we hit purchase. Um,
This is amazing, Kim. I'm going to interrupt you again. This is amazing. You must have thought this through completely. As many seminars as like all of us do, I've never heard this tactic, and I think it's amazing because you do create more touches as you go along in the anticipation and calling them back up and saying, "Well, thank you so much for the opportunity." But I mean, this is, girl, you're a rock star. Stephen was right.
Thank Yeah, we love it because and you're not talking business, it's an exciting conversation. You're not making them anxious, reaching out. You're like, hey, did your gift get there? And it's just more of an exciting, like, oh my gosh, like I closed on a house and I get a cool gift and it's custom and my realtor loves me. So
I
a
think
lot
it
of,
gives you like it allows future permission into this new space. So it's not like this is yours before it's closed and I was there before, but now I'm after. And that is like stays in that mindset, which I think is great.
Absolutely inviting yourself into their post-closing process without being like, I guess annoying for lack of better words or salesy. I love that. Let's see, where were we? Yeah, I mean that's pretty much for that, that's pretty much what it is. They'll remember the gift, not necessarily or not the gift, the intention behind the gift more than the gift. But we always make sure that first of all, it's not what's the word I'm looking for? Uh it's custom to them. It doesn't have our logo. So we make sure that it's custom to them based off of information that we've already gathered throughout the process or if we already know them. And we make sure that it's memorable. So something that they put out, whether it's, I don't know, something decorative that they'll put in their living room, but it'll start a conversation of sorts. So we always make sure that we're intentional about our
What's
gift.
an example of what you gift personalized?
I use Etsy a lot, so it really depends. Like I've done, Peter, what are those things called that hold whiskey again?
Decanter.
A decanter. I did a whiskey decanter and some whiskey glasses and whiskey ice for one of our clients that collects whiskey, and he just has it out. It has his last name, and I want to say I put the closing date. I need to look at it again. But he loves it and he tells everybody about it. Um, yeah, we do. We've done wine glasses that are custom to the client. It really just depends on their interest, though. We've also done like a TV, for example, because we knew they needed one. So it genuinely just depends.
So
Um,
it's not an Amazon because that's where I went. I went Amazon.
Amazon does do custom gifts though, so you could. I really just do Etsy just because that's what I'm used to. But if I ever had a situation where Etsy couldn't do what I needed and Amazon could, I totally would go there.
I didn't know
Etsy.
Etsy did stuff. I used Etsy. Our admin was using it like for layouts and stuff like that. I didn't know they do gifts and stuff. I'm gonna have to revisit that.
Yeah, they do. So they have so many cool creators on there. You can, I mean, no,
Jewelry for Angie, Ernie. They do beautiful jewelry.
absolutely. No, honestly, Etsy's my favorite. I'm like, they should just pay me at this point for endorsing them because I love. And okay, so we're gonna move on to the third one. Feel free to interrupt me anytime, y'all. This is a conversation. I don't ever want to talk at you guys. I would love to just talk through this together. So, number three is reinforcing trust, and I think that this is where a lot of us unintentionally disappear. So during closing, we make it like a celebration. We make it a big deal. So we take professional photos, we explain what comes next. That's also when we mentioned the custom closing gift that we ordered. We have a celebration room at our title company that we make sure that we use for some more photos. And if they're drinkers, we'll bring champagne, just whatever we can to make it a celebration and make sure that they know that we're proud of them too. And my point in sharing all of that with y'all is if we take the time to do all of that, why would we just disappear afterwards? Our clients don't just stop needing guidance because the paperwork is signed. Actually, they probably need more guidance afterwards because, like I said, we don't talk enough about home maintenance and they don't know vetted professionals the way that we do, things like that. So that's how I would think about it. So, what does that actually look like, though? Think about it this way, you're not following up, you're following through. I've never really liked the phrase follow up because it feels like more transactional. I'd rather think of it as following through. So, like, I told you I'd be here, so I am, which is the whole purpose of telling them during closing, because now you're just following through. And yeah, you want to continue the promise that you already made because they're not going to forget it. Most of the time, they'll be like, oh, Ileana said she'd be there, and I haven't heard from her in like 2 years. That's insane, And then they will, I think I put this in a different slide, but then they'll go use somebody else. And statistically, the numbers are not in our favor when it comes to that. So we follow a post-closing day system. On day three, we check in and send the tracking number for the closing gift. And we may also take this opportunity to deliver digital copies of the photos that we took at closing. Excuse me, I have bad allergies. Day 14, we send them a homestead reminder via email. We include instructions, relevant links or forms. Then we call and text them to let them know that we sent important information to their email. So that's another touch or two. And then around day 30, and this isn't like to the exact day, this might be day 5 instead, this might be day 17, just around these days. So then day 30, we offer vendor information or any resources that can help them with their potential needs. So our goal is always for them to feel seen and heard more than it is for us to be like seen and heard. Um, yeah, so the way that I kind of restructured my mind to think about this is instead of asking, do you need anything? Following through more so says, I meant what I told you, just in case you need something, here you go. So you're not being, first of all, you're not putting them in an awkward position to ask for something, but also you're not putting yourself in a position where they can just say no. So once trust exists, how do we keep that alive? We personally extend relationships. So the goal isn't to stay in front of people. The goal is to stay relevant. So I don't want every message to feel like marketing. I want it to feel useful as well. Every quarter, we provide something. So we do neighborhood updates, video CMAs, birthday messages, client events, um, home anniversaries. We do small gifts. I also, again, we use Etsy for a lot of these things. And quarterly gifts, we use this company called Client Giant, and they'll send like a small quarterly gift out to our list of people that we provide them. We give them a list of VIPs, And that's another way that we don't just do that because we don't want it to feel generic, but we also like that's another extra touch. And a lot of them still like we visited a friend the other day and they still have one of those little gifts out in their kitchen. So that was cool. Um, for home anniversaries, we make sure we send something like a custom holiday ornament of like their home or something like that. And again, we use Etsy for that. And really what we're trying to tell them is we care about you. It wasn't just the sale that we cared about. We care about you as a person and at whatever you have going on, we're happy to help. Um, Now the key is to be consistent because consistency keeps you remembered long before it gets you referred. And also sometimes the best way to stay relevant is bringing people together. So I'm a big fan of hosting micro events. Um, Especially like if large social events aren't your thing, you can just host, like, if let's say you like to cook, you can invite a few friends over for dinner, ask them each to invite a friend as well, and then you get the opportunity to mingle. And it's the reason I like micro events is because they feel more intimate. So it's easier for me to get to know the person better, whoever they brought better, and just build those relationships and create trust. So we've also been able to basically bring a lot of people together, like our friend groups, and they'll invite us to things, and it makes it easier to plan events when your friends are friends with your other friends. So it's really a win-win-win-win-win. So yeah, we built a tracker that records birthdays, kids' names, anniversaries, gift history, referrals, next follow-up dates, so that the experience always stays personal. And I'm happy to share that with y'all if you'd like. You can either use it as is or update it to fit your brand. But yeah, I'm happy to share that Excel sheet with you. We use it in combination with our CRM. Um, and it's actually an awesome opportunity or like a great way. I don't know if you were here for the last class with Lily, but she mentioned her VIP tier system. This would be a good way to get that started to see like who sent you referrals, how many, how many times have they purchased, all that good stuff. Okay, so I talked about doing micro events, and that's because our clients don't just become uh, customers afterwards. They become part of our community or our familia, if you will. So we host movie nights. Y'all, I actually had no idea that this was as affordable as it is, but to rent out a theater room for like 40 people is just a few $100. So we do that once a year. We invite our VIPs. We do a private movie screening. You can provide the popcorn and drinks, but you don't have to. I prefer to partner with a lender or a title company or someone else that wants to participate, so that they can help cover some of the costs as well. Um, because all inclusive is obviously like better, but people still showed up when I did do it without purchasing the popcorn and drinks. So we do a lot of family events. I have two kids, so it's easier for us to just kind of incorporate other families. Um, Vendor appreciation events, they deserve love too. Plus, they also have loved ones who need shelter. And I don't think any other agents really, like, not very many agents really do vendor appreciation, so they're going to remember you. And then happy hours. That's how I got my first client ever was at a happy hour. So we partner with local venues and we sponsor the first round and maybe an appetizer. And yeah, and then since we like to cook, we host a lot of dinners at our place. So it's always fun. Peter cooks a lot of Korean food. I cook a lot of Dominican food. And yeah, it makes it interesting. Um, let's see. Doo-doo-doo.
Ernie, I know that next time we end up at Mega Camp in Austin, guess where we're going for dinner?
Yes, let me know.
Yes,
A
yes,
la
we
orden.
will.
Uh,
A
yes,
la
because
orden.
I hear the two nationalities. That's got to be very flavorable. Like,
Oh, yeah. Delicious. We'll make a little potluck of both
That would be awesome, right? See, we already just extended our invitation to ourselves.
Yeah.
to ourselves. Yeah. Well, just know that I'm here for it. I am
Yes.
absolutely here for
Yay.
it. So okay. Um, oh, this is where I put the statistics. So in fact, according to NAR, 87 to 90% of buyers and sellers state that they would definitely use their agent again or recommend them to others. However, due to poor follow-up, y'all, and other factors, but they specifically call out poor follow-up, only about 12 to 15% of buyers actually use the same agent twice. 12 to 15% out of 90%. That is wild. So that is something that we have control over, following up, caring for them, and not really expecting anything in return. Like if they did decide to go elsewhere to a different agent after you have been nurturing them, like that's really on them. So that's something to consider as well. And it's just a cost of doing business, but at least you showed up and you did the right thing. But for me, it's the fact that I know that I'm the best fit for them, that I care, that I'm going to do what I have to do to help them reach their goals. So I'm going to make sure that I'm consistently showing up and proving that. Because also buyers aren't just buyers, they also become sellers. So another thing, you guys, make sure that you're showing up to other people's events as well. Don't expect people to show up to yours if you're not making an effort to show up to theirs. Plus, you get to tap into their SOI and make friends, and they'll talk great about you in front of them and make it very awkward. But it's always a great opportunity for you to show up and show that, like, oh, okay, this I'm their friend. Like, oh, they're friends. I can trust them. Okay, so once you start showing that they care, when people actually feel cared for, feel seen, feel heard, they then you start receiving opportunities. 'Cause visibility alone doesn't create referrals. If people see you but they never trust you, nothing happens. So, visibility opens the door, consistency builds trust, trust creates referrals, and then referrals obviously are the gift that keeps on giving. So, in other words, confidence opens the door, but care keeps the relationship going. Okay, so this is a client that I'll actually never forget. In fact, he has actually become one of our closest friends. I want to share this story with you because it's relevant to the conversation, but also kind of shows where coming from the right place can lead you to. So, a few years ago, Peter and I were looking for an investment opportunity to add to our own portfolio. We found the perfect new construction project in a great part of town. Um, and I just remember being ecstatic. But as we were walking through, it randomly hit me that this house was not meant for us. It was meant for him, our client. We'll call him Ray. So we called Ray and we told him exactly why it's perfect for him and his daughter based on our previous conversations. And fast forward, he bought the home. Yay! Because it was perfect for him. But that's actually not the end of the story. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because the relationship continued. And over time, he introduced us to six more families that we were able to help find stability as well. So my point is that we didn't do it for the referrals, and he didn't refer us because we helped him buy a house. He referred us because of how we made him feel before, during, and after the process. So the question becomes, how do we stay relevant without chasing attention? I don't know about y'all, but I personally don't care to be famous or anything like that. I just want to be useful. So I use social media to help me accomplish, provide value. So what we do is we share market updates, home tips, local events, personal moments, raffles, and community in general. Because I don't really post in hopes that someone will call. I mean, I do hope someone will call, but I genuinely post because I want to help solve problems. So I would say that when you're posting, people, and not just posting, like in general, people can smell BS from a mile away. So if you're being genuine, you're being authentic, they can also see that. Now, For social media, I would say show up consistently as yourself. We have 4 buckets that we post about, and we make sure that our balance between personal and professional is not 50-50. So we do 1 professional post for every 2 personal about, because people follow people, not brands. And of course, you want them to also know that you know what you're doing. So you you want proof that you transact. They want to see you closing deals as well, but that's not all they care about. And if you're not sure what to post about, I made some notes on some pillars you can dig into. So you could do the 5 pillars that you could, or content pillars that you could use if you're unsure where to start. Listings and sold, the area, so neighborhood coffee shops, school news, market stats, any hidden gems, client testimonials, closing days, behind the scenes, um, tips, so advice and education, tips, myths. I love debunking myths online. People love it too. Um, and just position yourself as the guide, not a salesperson, but somebody like the resource, somebody who knows what they're talking about. Because the personal 80% should build trust that makes the professional 20% land. And if you're consistently providing value, visibility won't feel salesy because you're literally trying to help. So my goal is for y'all to eventually, all of us, to stop asking ourselves, how do I get referrals? And start asking ourselves, how can I become worthy of being referred? Or have I become worthy of being referred? How do you determine the answer? Ask yourself these questions. Do they trust my guidance and consistency? Do they constantly know what to expect? Do they feel cared for? Does it feel natural rather than forced? Because, friends, if you forget everything else, please remember this. Referrals aren't given simply because you request them. They're earned through memorable experiences. And that's the whole point of this presentation. So, to earn referrals, you must become worthy of being referred. And what that looks like is removing uncertainty, being proactive, speaking in we, not I, staying present after closing, and listening to their responses, asking good questions and listening. And then speaking of listening, listen more than you speak at times. And remember that consistency beats complexity. If you looked at my reviews, you'd notice that a lot of my clients mention that I speak a lot in we terms. And I did not notice that about myself until I started to really like review the process and see where I'm doing good, where I needed to improve, da, da, da. And it's true, I do speak in we a lot because it is we. We're doing this together. You do your part, I'll do mine, and we can get to the end goal. So the reason why I didn't make this all the way about systems, and I wanted to kind of walk you through my thought process behind systems, is because I don't believe systems create great experiences. I believe that great people create great experiences, and systems simply make sure that those experiences happen consistently. You may have heard this saying, at least I did a lot in my previous brokerage, but essentially the best CRM is the one you'll actually use. The same goes with systems in general. There's no point in building a system that doesn't resonate with you because human nature says that you won't use it. So when you're breaking down your client experience to create systems that match your core, your beliefs, keep this in mind. Your beliefs are your values. Behaviors are your actions and their actions. Systems are what you consistently repeat. So the way that I think of a system is that when this happens, this also needs to happen every time. Experiences, what your client feels, trust is earned. Advocacy, what they say and do during and after the transaction. And then referrals are what flow if they know, like, and trust you. But everything starts with what you believe. Your systems are simply your values repeated consistently. So let me leave y'all with one final thought. I think I'm making good time. Let's see. This sentence changed the way I look at my business. Closing isn't the finish line or when the relationship ends. It's when homeownership begins and where the beginning of your reputation starts. So, to kind of talk systems a little bit real quick, we log the closing date as soon as we have one and update it as needed because that becomes the home anniversary. So then our VA uses that to help, excuse me, celebrate our people. They update the CRM for us. We always have the Excel sheet pulled up so that we can notate it, and then our VA can update the CRM accordingly. Um, we do this so that we're not relying on one piece of technology because if our CRM broke tomorrow, we'd want to be able to have something else we can pull in order to still be consistent. And yeah, we also built systems around thanking our referral partners, managing events. But everything we do more than once essentially becomes a system. The key is figuring out what makes sense, what makes it make sense every time. So when this happens, this also needs to happen every time. And I leave you with this challenge. I definitely don't want you leaving today with 20 new ideas. I'd actually prefer you leave with just one. So I challenge you to write down one belief, build one system around it, protect it, and then repeat it. Do this 3 to 5 times every week until you're at a place where you're refining your systems. And please don't try to become unforgettable overnight. Just become a little more intentional with every next client you serve. And I'm inviting you to ask yourself a better question every day. What does my client deserve to feel right now? And what systems can help me consistently deliver that? With that, friends, I really appreciate you spending time with me today. I hope you get at least something from today's conversation, and something you can use or stay with you that you can use when you're working with your next client. So I think we have a few minutes for questions. If you have any, I'd love to answer anything you may
Well,
have.
I don't have a question, Kim, but I mean, Ileana, but I have to tell you, um, everything you do, even that Kim packed that just that little last slide that I took a photo of, is so intentional. I think you are amazing. I think, and giving me the thought, I mean, I was really blown away of how you do your closing gifts, that you're able to, for tracking purpose, for all that kind of stuff. That, I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of these. I've listened to a lot of people. You're the first person to put it that way, and I appreciate it. We're changing the way we do it from now on because I think that that is more impactful. So thank you, Kim. And all the stuff that I learned from you. This is not the first time we're going to have you on, and
Yes,
I think that you're an amazing leader. I think you're
yes.
amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I revamped this presentation, so I'm really excited to present it and see how it's received. But I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so, so much.
Of course.
Does anybody have a question before we stop recording and then I ask Kim another question?
I
No
noticed
tengo,
that. Go
yo no
ahead.
tengo preguntas, es simplemente para decir que de verdad que en la parte cuando dices que cuando cierras tú tienes el closing day o ya hasta ahí se nos olvida a veces el cliente y es que apenas ahí estamos empezando para hacernos recordar siempre. Gracias por eso.
Sí, claro que sí. Gracias a ti por venir.
Yeah, that was the big for me too. Like, because we all think our reputation, but then that's the moment that we let them go. But according to her, we don't let them go. But
Yeah.
right.
And Ernie learned something very important too. Etsy for jewelry for his wife.
Yes,
And
that's
I
me.
see her favorite bowl law is clarity's power because that's
And
mine.
that's Ernie. He
Yeah.
tells me that probably once
Yeah,
a day. He
let's
does.
go.
Yes.
Because
It
it
is.
is, it is. You don't know what you don't know. And I genuinely believe that if you're clear on whether it's your goals or your intentions, like that is power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it just sets everything up. I mean, for me, I live by that way because it's like if you're clear how you communicate, you're clear on what you do, it should eliminate a lot of other issues. So, um, thank you. I loved it
Thank you.
all. I was taking a picture of the thing as well, the last one, because I guess my wife, Angelica, Angie, picked up on the same thing. Like, you know.
Yes, yes, it was. So thank you so much, Stephen, for setting this up and for Ileana for being such a valued member of our community and one of our Hispanic leader advisors. So we can't wait to learn more from you. And thank you for taking the time. So thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a wonderful day.